piano player. You're so drunk you can't hit nothing. In fact, you're probably seeing double.
I have 2 guns. 1 for each of you.
Regular dudes? What?
Stuff.
Welcome back to Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. I am Jamie G. And besides being the host of the show, I'm also a lawyer, a doctor, and chairman of the nonpartisan Anti-Mahomes League. Once again, I'm riding with my posse, the Soup Deuce and Magna Mills, to talk about what we've been watching in honor of the late, great Val Kilmer. Our featured review for the evening is Tombstone, absolute classic. How you doing, Soup? And more importantly, what do you want on your Tombstone?
Why I am rolling. I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I don't know what on my tombstone. I didn't really think about an epitaph getting into this, man. Just something catchy. Something catchy.
How about a grilled steak?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, or maybe just chiseling a dick and balls. I don't know.
But you could go with Leslie Wilson. Leslie Nielsen did. He had the let her rip. He went with the fart
Let Her
joke
Rip's a good one.
on his, and that it also worked for Mikey Brazzato, right? You can see let her rip being on his as well. So everything happens in threes. And
When I come up with a signature quote like that, I'll keep it in mind. When that happens, I'll get back to you guys on that.
what's crazy is I'm old enough to remember the commercial. Like, what do you want on your tombstone? It was like pepperoni and cheese.
So, yeah, the pizza, man.
So I do remember that. But
I was almost gonna say that, but
that's close. Just be careful when you're ordering the pizza. You have to understand the correct time if you're going to order the extra anchovies.
that's right.
Yeah, be very careful. Thank you for ordering up another episode of Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com. Very simple, very easy to remember, just like those flaps. FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure that you've hit the thumb.
We are getting started with the latest edition of the Holes in This House. Soup, we got to know, man. Inquiring minds need to know, dude. What have you been filling your face holes with since we last met?
Dude, I randomly filled my hole with what I think is kind of a bit of a hidden gem here. Now, this isn't something that's gonna knock it out of the park, but this was a fun one, man. Randomly ran across it, never heard of it before. It just popped up there well, I think I found it on Prime or whatever. And sometimes when you're looking and reading over the thing about it, whatever it's printed up there, it starts showing a little bit of the preview. So I started doing that. And I was like, all right, let me check it out. And I got into it and it was great. It's a show called Swedish Dicks. Swedish Dicks, man, and it's about a private detective, and then it becomes 2 private detectives, and eventually, 3 or whatever. But the cast is great, man. And it's a little bit stacked. I wouldn't call it super stacked like Tombstone, but I mean, you got Keanu Reeves in there, not the lead guy, but he's he's one. You got Tracy Lords in there. The guy who plays the lead is Peter Stormare. Am I saying that right?
It's Stromar, I think.
Stromar, yeah, and you got a dude named Johan. Not enough people are named Johan anymore. Johan Glanz is the other
That's a
guy,
good
but
point.
yeah. You got a Vivian Bangs in there, man. Anyway, it's good, dude. It's real fun. It moves along well. It's funny. It's catchy. It grabbed my attention. I had a lot of fun watching it. There's 2 seasons of it. It goes, like I said, man. It never really slows down. It's not action packed, but I never got bored with it, man. So it was a fun one to run through, man. So if you're looking for some dick, try these Swedish Dicks, man.
Well, even more than one, maybe. And on Prime, you said, right? So
Yeah, it's on Prime right now. It's worth the watch, man. If
yeah,
you want
everyone
to
has
see
Prime.
a
That's the one you
fun
have to
show,
have because
yeah.
you get the shipping anyway, so it's out there. Might as well check it out. I've actually been checking out The Wheel of Time that is also on Prime, coming towards the end of the 3rd season. Again, based on the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, which is like 14 books long, but through 3 seasons, I think they're already through the 5th and 6th book, so I think they're moving along. Pretty sure they'll get picked up through season 4. Started out fairly slow. It's one of those shows you have to watch season 1, but I'd say about halfway through season 2 really kicks into gear. It's been a much higher quality show since then. Continuing to enjoy it. Kind of surprised. I thought it was going to be one of those shows I watch out of obligation because I want to complete things, but I'm actually really enjoying it. They haven't been officially picked up for 4, but pretty sure they will be. Continuing on season 4 of The Righteous Gemstones, as are we covering it on Romancing the Gemstones. Very good. If you like Danny McBride, if you like Walton Goggins, if you like the first seasons of the Gemstones, if you like Eastbound and Down, if you like Vice Principals, you will very much enjoy the Righteous Gemstones. Jamie G, tell us what you've been filling your holes with, man. I've also been doing sports stuff. We had the end of the NCAAs. You got baseball now. We had the Masters. Masters was crazy. I might mention that again. What have you been filling them up with, man?
Yeah, congratulations to the University of Florida with the Gator bite and all that shit, winning the tournament. You made me a little bit of money. I was happy about that. I actually, Mills, you guys know me. I love to responsibly place a couple bets here and there. And Mills, one of the things I was most proud of since football season ended was I haven't been betting a lot lately. But one thing I did bet on was Florida to be losing the first half, but win the second half money line. Houston first half money line, Florida second half, and it paid off. It was a beautiful little parlay there. It was nice to get back in the action. We cannot wait for NFL season. That'll be coming. We'll get there eventually. But let's go back to what I've been filling my holes with on a Mills suggestion. All right. So thank you to our very own Magnum Mills. He was like, Jamie G, Esquire the Fifth, you should probably check out Silo. I think it'll be right down your alley. And son of a gun, was he right? Silo's really cool. It's over on Apple TV. It's kind of got a little bit of that Severance feel for all of our fans of Severance who watched us do My Cousin Innie and were with us for Severance. If you don't know, we did that show. Go check it out. This has a little bit of that, but it also has all the stuff I love about like the Fallouts and The Last of Us, which is premiering April 13th on HBO. We can't wait for that one. It's got all that kind of wrapped into one. I'm finishing season 1. I mean, wow, great show here. Really, really enjoyed this one. Can't wait for season 2. Like Mills, I've also been watching Righteous Gemstones. If you don't know, go check it out. Watch the entire series from season 1 to today, which is halfway through season 4. It's awesome. Danny McBride, total humor. Walton Goggins on like the craziest character you can ever imagine, and Uncle Baby Billy, and all is right in the universe when the Righteous Gemstones are on. So great one there. I finished White Lotus. Walton Goggins also starring in that. Shout out to our bull. We absolutely love the Walton Goggins. He's great. White Lotus season 3 I thought was awesome. I really enjoyed this. Mike White has just continuing to impress me on who he is as a writer and a director. And you realize he's a guy that's been around actually a long time. And before White Lotus, never really got the recognition he deserved. So happy he's getting it now. And all the people that were part of that project, really, really cool shit. And I continue to check out Preacher. This is just a good time. Go check it out. It's over on Netflix. You won't be upset about it. It's just hey, I don't have to really be like thinking and doing crazy stuff with this one. I can just put it on and enjoy it and just kind of veg. Perfect show, man. Shout out to Preacher.
What season of Preacher are you in? Just out of curiosity.
Wrapping up season 2, heading into season 3.
Okay, I like that. And I also finished White Lotus. I enjoyed it. I think obviously, I think for me, anyways, season 1 is kind of on its own tier, and this is pretty equal to season 2. I think they're fairly interchangeable, so that's kind of how I'd rank them. I'd put 1 kind of on its own. In
Yeah.
2, 3, it could maybe just depend on what kind of mood I'm in, something like that. Do I, you want to do the Italian thing? You want to do the Thailand thing? How about yourself, man? How do you kind of rank the 3 seasons thus far? And it has been picked up for 4.
Which is incredibly exciting. I'm so happy. I ranked number 1 on its own. I thought it was the perfect balance of hilarious, like laugh out loud moments mixed with this kind of new and exciting adventure and drama, and also while trying to prove an overarching point. Really well done. Season 1 was fantastic. Then I go season 3 as my second favorite, followed by season 2 as my third favorite. I don't think there's a bad episode. You just got to know going in like, hey, this isn't designed to be a pure comedy. This isn't designed to be a pure drama. It's not designed to be a pure anything. It's total hybrid. You're not drinking a Cabernet, you're drinking a red blend, and enjoy it.
Yeah, and so far, I don't think any main character is named Todd, so we got that going for us.
We do have
Which
that
is
going
nice.
for us. Breaking Bad really failed us on that one.
Yeah, I'm guessing eventually there will be one of them baddies named Todd. I'm guessing probably another 2 years or so. Who knows where they will be? Hopefully, it'll be in a cool location. I also have seen the season 3 finale of Yellow Jackets. I
Ooh.
enjoyed it. The show hasn't officially been picked up for 4, but I'm almost positive it will be. It's that kind of show I can't say much without spoiling things, other than they're definitely getting to the point where revelations are starting to happen. The narrative is certainly moving forward. So if you haven't caught up on it, I would catch up on Yellow Jackets. It's one of those shows that's a little tough to catch. You can find season 1 everywhere, but 2 and 3 are a little more complicated. You need like the add-in for Paramount, like the Paramount Plus with Showtime or whatever. So hopefully they make it a little bit easier to access. I also managed to go through, rewatch, and finally watch the 4th season of Mythic Quest. Watched all the 3 leading up to it. Watched the 4th season. It ended in a way I was expecting more, and then it actually got canceled just super recently as we're doing this. It's kind of a weird thing. They're giving them the opportunity to go back and re-edit the last episode to make it more of a satisfying series finale. I'm assuming they had an alt kind of set up, and they filmed it 2 ways, and they were hoping for another one. It was a fun show. You should still watch it, despite the fact that it ended. Very good. Rob McElhenney, a lot of great people from Sunny. Megan Gantz doing the writing. Just a lot of great people overall. Very, very fun. I also watched the side quests, little spin-offs from it. Fun, kind of inconsequential. Don't know that I'll ever really get around to rewatching them, but they're all in the 20-25 minute range. So not really like a big, involvement or commitment to watch them. And also finally got around to watching season 4 of Slow Horses, also on Apple TV. This is the Gary Oldman British intelligence show. Been around for a while. They do 6 episode seasons based on a series of books. They've already been picked up for 5 and 6. It's fun. It's quick. Nice one to binge. So another thing to check out. I think Apple TV definitely on the upswing. Soup, do you have anything other than Swedish dicks for us?
Yeah, I didn't really get a chance to watch a lot of stuff this week, but I did read it. I was reading an article or an interview with Sean Lennon, and he mentioned this band that he was way into, a band called Warpaint that I'd never heard of. So I checked out a bunch of their shit, and they're cool, man. If you like that kind of thing, it's different. It's real spacey. I'd say it's like a Portishead Mazzy Star mix, but maybe a little bit more instrumentally better in some regard,
Nice.
you know.
Oh, dude, that sounds good, dude.
Yeah,
That
definitely
sounds
cool.
awesome.
Give Warpaint a
I
check
would have thought
out.
Warpaint would be a little bit more hardcore. That's all.
You'd
I
think
was
it would be a
expecting.
metal band or something, but no,
Yeah.
it's definitely that kind of thing. I like female vocalists, anyway, and so I went ahead and checked out a bunch of their stuff, and it was surprisingly cool, but it's something you have to be in the mood for, you can't really listen to that. It's not really good for like a work shift or anything, but definitely some cool stuff there.
Nice. You got to work all the holes in, right? You got to get them
Yeah.
weird holes in. Eventually we'll even apparently, we'll eat some food or something. And sometimes, we all cook for ourselves a little bit, I guess. So we don't haven't been filling the mouth hole as much, but we try to fill them all.
Every hole matters. And at the end of the day, we're just some regular dudes who have the best of intentions when it comes to watching stuff. But unfortunately, we can't always get into everything we intend to. And if we miss your window, sometimes it just slips your mind. Mills, why don't you tell us about something that you really want to watch, but for one reason or another, the opportunity just keeps slipping away?
Well, this is crazy because sometimes the opportunity keeps coming back and around, and it's like, why have you not checked this out? Why have you not checked this out? And I mean, Dexter, Jamie G. I know you recently watched
Oh,
this, but now at this point, there's the prequel, there's the sequel series, and now there's going to be a sequel to the sequel series, Dexter Resurrection. This is really happening. It's coming out in 2025 during the summer. They're bringing back some of the classics. I don't know how this works because I've not seen the sequel or the prequel series, New Blood, or the Origin one. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but they're also adding apparently Uma Thurman and Peter Dinklage to the cast in the Resurrection
wow.
joint. So I guess at this
Wow.
point, the universe is telling me, dude, you gotta go. Don't let it keep slipping away. Go ahead, just fill it up with the Dexter joints. And how about Tulsa King? Season 2 came and went. I remember enjoying that Stallone joint, back in like 2001 when the first season came out. It's on the list, but it definitely kind of just keeps slipping downward. And one final one called Bookie over on HBO Max, whatever you want to call it these days. Very fun about a pair of bookies who operate in California and how they're impacted by the spread of legal gambling now. Like how do bookies deal with it? A lot of cool cameos, a lot of good stuff. Actually did just get canceled after 2 seasons, but means it's a short lived. I watched the first 2 episodes, thought it was great. It just kind of slipped away. So it's another one I would like to catch up on. So those are the three things kind of slip in my mind here. The Dexter sequel, prequels, Tulsa King season 2, and Bookie over on Max. Jamie G, what's kind of been just out of touch for you? You keep reaching for it and you just can't seem to grab onto it and watch the damn thing.
Yeah, two things for me, Mills. One, The Irishman. And yeah, it's 3.5 hours long, but this is an outstanding cast. Basically, every like mafia type movie that you've ever watched that you loved, a lot of the same things are here. If you like Scorsese, if you like Joe Pesci, if you like Robert De Niro, if you like that whole thing, this is it, right? This is also based on one of my favorite books ever, ever. Jamie G's a reader. I read, people. All right. You don't become a lawyer, a doctor, a businessman, all without reading. So you know your boy reads. The book, I Heard You Paint Houses, absolutely fantastic. It takes place with Frank the Irishman Sheeran on his deathbed, telling his daughter everything that ever happened throughout his life that he held secret, and most notably, what happens to Jimmy Hoffa. It's awesome. It's a great book if you like the mafia and that type of stuff. You realize how much power and control the Union had in this country back in the day, the electing of Kennedy, all that stuff, the assassination of Kennedy. It's really remarkable. This is a movie, Mills, that like I couldn't wait for it to be made. I remember reading this book my second or third time because that's how much your boy loves it, and then being like, oh shit, they're gonna make a movie, and it's gonna be a Scorsese, and it's gonna have Pacino and De Niro and Pesci. What? And then it was like, but yeah, it's 3.5 hours long. And not to say that's what deterred me, but I have not yet watched it. It's been out years, and this was my favorite, like top 5 favorite book ever, which is a huge dude. That's a mammoth statement. It's way up there for me. I love this book. Anyway, that's one of them. That's one of them. The other one was Dark Winds. This is available over on Netflix. Looks to be an awesome show. I've watched the trailer probably a dozen times. It's on my list, but for some reason, something new comes out and it automatically supersedes and pushes Dark Winds down on my list, right? It's like just now we got Last of Us airing. Well, that's going to go on the top of my list in Dark Winds. So I just can't seem to get Dark Winds in, but man, I can't wait to. It looks like a good show.
I have also read So I Heard You Paint Houses. Definitely enjoyable book. Check it out if you haven't. I've also watched The Irishman. It is a long one, but worth it. I will say I watched it. I have not watched it since the first time I watched it. If I had that much time available to do so, I would, but I have not had the chance. And Dark Winds right now, I believe season 3 is currently airing on AMC. Very good, reviewed very well. I have not gotten a chance to check out anything other than about 10 minutes of the first episode once. Another one I would also like to get up on, but it just keeps slipping away. Soup, what do you have for us, man? What do you mean to check out? It just keeps slipping your mind or slipping away.
Dude, I have a ridiculous list of these things, man, but I can start out right now by saying a couple things that you guys have already talked about that, you review on the show, which is The Righteous Gemstones and Yellow Jackets. Those are two that I really want to get into and just can't seem to get there, just because I know the commitment level for shows like that. And, maybe I should just not think so much about it and just do it, but eventually I'll get on those, man. There's also, I still haven't seen the Deadpool Wolverine movie. I like the first two Deadpools. I like, I'm glad there's a rated R superhero-ish movie out there. So I was a big fan of the two of those. I think the reason I haven't really, I'm not trying to not watch it, but the reason I haven't really pursued it as heavily is because I've heard mixed reviews on it, and I think the reason for that is because of how much hype it got. And unfortunately, movies like that end up getting a super amount of hype to where it's hard for them to live up to the expectations that are just perceived by like people and rumor and whatnot. that did kind of put that on the back burner for me for a minute, but it's still something I want to check out. I also haven't seen Mobland. I've been wanting to get into that. I know there's only a couple episodes under the belt right now, but I was hoping to kind of get that one as it went. Still not too late to catch that before it's over. So that's right there on my radar as well. And there's a show called Foundation that I've heard a lot of really good things about, and people have been talking about that I've been meaning to check out and haven't yet. So that's right there off the top of my head. I could go on and on. So.
I
Wow.
think we all could. I mean, this day and age with all this content, right? It's real easy to just kind of it starts stacking up and it's almost daunting, right? Like, what can I actually keep up with? I also haven't seen the Deadpool and Wolverine, but there was a lot of hype. You're right, because Hugh Jackman said I'm never playing Wolverine again, and they bring him out of retirement. And at that point, I kind of stopped. I'm not caught up on the Marvel movies and the shows anymore, so I'm kind of like, oh, but I want to catch up and all this, and it seems like a lot of work, and it should just be fun. I'm sure it will be, but yeah. Also, Mobland. I also want to check that one out. We were hyped about it before. I think the first 3 episodes are out now as we record this, so
It might be
definitely
up
want to check that one out. They stack up, dude. That's how it works.
Yeah, they do, man.
That's one. And Soup, just knowing you and being a dude that you and I have done a bunch of shows together over the years, man, you really ought to get yourself make it a priority for Gemstones. It's your humor 100%. You will
I don't
love
doubt it, man. I'm
it's
not,
Danny McBride, which you love. You love that style. And it's you gotta understand, dude. Uncle Baby Billy is Mills. I'm gonna go out on a limb here.
I heard he
Maybe
hangs
top
tall.
10 character ever. He may be top 5 specialty character for me ever. It's that good, dude. Like he's
Dude hangs dong, man.
Walton Goggins has like
Uncle Baby Billy,
3
dude.
god tier characters, so it's really tough, dude.
Yeah.
Teen Just. It's my young adult show about Jesus being a teenager in Nazareth.
Why don't you call it Teen Jesus?
Teen Just. Teen and Jesus mixed.
Yeah, but not mixed in a way that makes any sense. You're just taking the J from Jesus and then skipping ahead to the U and the S. Like, that's not how you combine words. If you're going to combine words, it'd be teen sus.
Teen sus.
No, I don't like that.
I like Goggins in pretty much anything I've seen him in, dude, So
Yeah.
This is like a wild character, dude. Anyway, you will love Gemstones, and yes, we're doing the Gemstones over on Romancing the Gemstones because Mills and we're low-key fans of Romancing the Stone. Hopefully we'll do that one day here on Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. That's how we came up with the name
Romancing the
Everyone.
Kathleen Turner. That's top tier. Everyone is peaking in that movie. Well, not Danny.
It is, dude.
Danny DeVito is still peaking. Let's be honest. Danny DeVito is still peaking in this day and age.
He's never stopped.
Jersey Mike's, dude. Yeah, he's never stopped, dude. His plateau is a peak.
I hope we do it. And that movie is the reason why we decided on the name Romancing the Gemstones to cover Righteous Gemstones. Go check it out. But back to Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. It is the time of the episode here where we fulfill our legal requirement to reference Archer. We do that by offering you our sterling suggestions. We're each going to recommend something for you to check out right here, right now. Mills, what do you got for us this time?
What's always funny to me is the fact that you act so shocked and you are the lawyer who negotiated the deal upon which we have to do this. And so it is what it is. And you know what? I think at this time, some people might not be in a great place. It's that time of year. You're coming out of winter. There's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world. I think what you need to do is go to the good place. This is a show originally on NBC, currently available on Netflix, starring Ted Danson, Kristen Bell, amongst others. Great cast, great premise. The idea is like what happens in the afterlife. There's a lot that happens in the afterlife. I can't say it here. It's a sitcom level, 22-ish minutes. It's a comedy, but there's a lot going on with it. It's phenomenal. There's still a lot of talk about ethics involved. I will say that, but it's also hysterical. Ted Danson's done a lot of great shit. This is way up there. Maybe Kristen Bell's favorite role for me, and obviously a lot of other people involved in it. And a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars jokes. This came out when Blake Bortles was a thing, so Blake Bortles is a thing on this show somehow. So just a fun one. Again, available on Netflix. Jamie G, what is your sterling suggestion for us?
It's a classic. I'm pretty pumped about this one, and it was revolutionary at the time, but Mills, 30 years later, I'm happy to report it's just as revolutionizing as it once was. I am going with Forrest Gump. I recently had the opportunity to watch this movie with someone who wasn't alive when it came out. They weren't alive when this thing was out. This was the first time they've ever watched it in 2025, and they're coming of age and they've got a mind and they're processing and they're thinking big thoughts. And then you get hit with Forrest Gump, which ironically enough is when Gump came out, that's how I was, right? At that age of life. And this was such an incredible movie. Rewatching this, I remember just how great it is. And not only that, there's so many lessons and examples within this movie about just life in general and overlying issues that are major issues that maybe today would be considered radical with mental health and other things and abuse. And you go and then you see that lay out in this movie and kind of the lessons and the overarching themes. And it makes you a better person watching it, dude. It's hard to believe I'm selling Forrest Gump this hard, but it was that great of a movie, man. Like it's really, really good. Way ahead of its time, in my opinion. And then can I just say, top five soundtrack ever? We're talking about a
That's
legendary.
probably what sold you, I think, because that
The double
soundtrack that
disc.
was a double disc, an old school double disc, and that
Yeah.
brought a ton of older, I say at that point, but 70s hits onto the charts. Like that was a
Yes.
huge soundtrack in the day, one of the biggest soundtracks
Massive soundtrack, dude. And it was and it's still a great soundtrack. And it was one of the first double, and then from there, Mills, there was actually a run of double discs. And it burned bright, but it burned fast. It kind of died off because then we went into like, downloading shit. But like
Well, there was
double
Move
discs
Forever.
was
There
a
was
crazy
before Move
thing.
Forever. Then there was everything after Move Forever in terms of
Right.
your double disc albums. I have to say though, enjoy Forrest Gump. It's a movie of its time, but it's still very watchable. But on the rewatch, Jenny does not play as well, right? Like she is not the greatest of Forrest. I'll say that.
It sucks for Forrest, but like you gotta really take a step back with her and just understand how much the abuse from her father when she was a daughter impacted her life choices. But at the same time, Forrest had enough going on to where he was the only one that could stick by and love someone like that. And the overall lesson is everyone deserves love. And it's a wild thing how they come together, man. And even though she gets what's implied as AIDS and dies and but like the legacy lived and like the whole time they loved each other, but because she was super capable, smart, beautiful, everything. But because she was so abused, she didn't feel like she was worthy of Forrest's love. And because Forrest had his own problems and was his own thing going on, that was like his dream catch. And yet they had to like meet at this perfect place to come together, man. It's a wild one. Yes, she doesn't play as good. She's bad to Forrest and everything. But when you really dive in, there's a lot going on in this movie. It just, yeah, Forrest Gump, dude. Way up
If
there,
I
man.
want to go full Freud on you, I would just say like because we just watched Princess Bride, and that was Robin right in there, and so you're just like conflating like her with Princess Buttercup is the ideal. That's I would say that. Soup, what do you got for us, man?
Well, first I'll say good call on Forrest Gump, dude. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's a really, really good movie, man. I mean, it's epic, dude. Like it goes over. I'm not going to keep talking about it, but yes, right. It's top notch, man. Anyway, enough about Forrest Gump. Dude, I was struggling here to pick a Sterling suggestion because I had a few I wanted to pick from, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and stick with what I came up with first because this is the Tombstone episode, right? So why not go Tombstone versus Young Guns? But I'm going to combo it. You got to do both. Young Guns 1, 2. That's my Sterling suggestion. Both Young Guns movie. It's a really good package, man. Great cast, young cast. You got a young Emilio, young Charlie Sheen. You got Slater in part two, man. Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh, you know. Anyway, it's Young Guns. It's fun. It's not as good of a movie as Tombstone, but I consider it pretty close as far as a good Western to watch, man. You know, so the package of Young Guns 1 and 2 is my Sterling suggestion here today.
I think that's great. I believe they're both available on one of the services right now because I have actually rewatched at least one of them recently, the first one, and I tried to get two. I didn't get as far into two. It's not. You got Kiefer in there. There's a ton of people.
Kiefer, Lou
That
Diamond
dude, that is
I mean,
a deep. That is where a lot of people got their start, and also I think for a lot of people of our age, that was kind of what dipped your toe into westerns.
yeah, for
And
sure. I
then
mean,
like
I saw
that
that
made you
as a
more
kid.
receptive to Tombstone, right? Because
Right.
now you had like for me it was that and Back to the Future 3. Like it was more Back to the Future 3 probably, but like I wasn't really, a real Western dude. And Young
Remake
Guns was
of,
a nice intro to like a nice solid way to slide into the Western genre. Like
yeah,
it's
absolutely. I mean, yeah, yeah. I think those deserve a rewatch or a first time watch for anybody, man. So I found it relevant being that Tombstone episode.
Absolutely, man. Well, we need to get into Tombstone, a Tombstone state of mind. So let's connect Tombstone to the dude with 6 Degrees of Lebowski. We need a Mills for that. He's the only one that can do it. What is the easiest way to get from Tombstone to the dude?
It is actually a pretty simple. In Tombstone, Stephen Lang played Ike Clanton. And in The Men Who Stare at Goats, Stephen Lang played Brigadier General Dean Hopgood, and Jeff Bridges played Bill Django. And Jeff Bridges is the dude. And a Django.
That's a very, very direct connection, but I suppose I should have been more specific, Mills. Get us to the dude by the way of Val Kilmer.
I like that. I like that. In Tombstone, Val Kilmer plays Doc Holliday. In The Saint, Val Kilmer played Simon Templar, while Ray Cerveja played Ivan Tretriak. In The Old Man, Season 2, Episode 8:15, Ray Cerveja played Shuliman Pavlovich, and Jeff Bridges played Dan Chase, and Jeff Bridges is the dude. Very easy. I know, a little old man, but I mean, Ray Cerveja is awesome.
Well, you're technically correct, Mills, but I got two issues here. One, how are you going to bring up our boy Raid without using his role as Boris the Blade from Snatch? And two, I feel like you're using the old man here. You're using that way too much. Take it from the top, but I need you to have a little fun with it here.
We all need a little fun in our lives. So, all right, we'll rewind it to the top. In Tombstone, Val Kilmer played Doc Holliday. In The Doors, Val Kilmer played Jim Morrison, and Michael Madsen played Tom Baker. In Wyatt Earp, Michael Madsen played Virgil Earp, while Kevin Costner played Wyatt Earp. In 3 Days to Kill, Kevin Costner played Ethan Renner, and Haley Steinfeld played Zoe Renner. In True Grit, Haley Steinfeld played Maddie Ross, while Jeff Bridges played Rooster Cogburn, and Jeff Bridges is the dude. And I am pandering to the crowd a little bit, but I worked Haley Steinfeld in. I believe she is your queen, so I feel like I win internet points for that.
And you went right to the dude twice, man. Right on.
All dude, all nothing
Dude,
but the dude
man.
this week, dude. It's all dude. It's Tombstone. We would like to work more Val Kilmer in, but yeah, Val Kilmer is the dude this week.
And shout out to the official first couple of Buffalo. We love you, Josh and Haley. Get your popcorn ready because it is time for our featured review.
This is Tombstone, directed by George P. Costamos, written by Kevin Jarre, produced by James Jacks, Sean Daniel, and Bob Mizorowski. Cinematographer was William A. Fracker, edited by Frank J. Oriost, Robert Sylvie, and Harvey Rosenstock. Music by Bruce Botten. Originally released December 25th, 1993. I do not remember. This was a Christmas flick.
Christmas. Yeah.
Budget of about $25 million. Box office, according to Box Office Mojo in the United States, was about $56.5 million, starring basically everybody but including Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Michael Biehn, Powers Booth, Robert Burke, Dana Delaney, Sam Elliott, Stephen Lang, Joanna Pakula, Bill Paxton, Jason Priestley, Michael Rooker, John Tenney, Billy Zane, and Charlton Heston. The short plot synopsis is a successful lawman's plans to retire anonymously in Tombstone, Arizona, are disrupted by the Count of Outlaws he was famous for eliminating.
From this moment forward, we're going to be full on spoiling Tombstone. This movie came out in 1993. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. Come back and watch the rest of this, man. So I don't know what else to tell you, man. I mean, it's your final warning. We're going to talk about it, so carry on.
I think you've had your chance. this is our chance to give our overall thoughts, but my guess is we're all going to be fairly simpatico here. I think this is one that we all enjoyed. I think this is one that we feel has stood up over the years. What's kind of interesting to me is that I'm not really a Western dude, but I am a Western dude basically because of, like we said a minute ago, Young Guns in this flick. If it's not for Tombstone, I don't go back and watch Unforgiven. I don't watch The Quick and the Dead. I don't get into some of the older Clint Eastwood stuff. You know what I mean? I don't appreciate Tarantino as much, probably, right? I think this movie was a big deal for me, at least in terms of getting me into Westerns and exposing me to a lot of the actors, actresses in the cast, huge
Sure.
ensemble cast. And a lot of times I'd be watching something like, oh, that's such and such from Tombstone. So I think it at least made an impact on me on that level. You know, I don't know if it's worth it to be like, oh, you know, we all loved it, it all holds up well, but I think at least in terms of a Western, this was a really important flick for me. How about yourself, Soup? Are you a Western guy, and where did Tombstone kind of sit on your pantheon in terms of, you know, your affection for Westerns?
I wouldn't say I'm a Western guy. I do like some of the older Westerns and whatnot. Pre-Tombstone, before I've even seen Tombstone, you know what I mean? I'm sure that I know that I'm not saying movies before that. I'm saying before I watched it, you know. There was a couple that I would enjoy every once in a while, being younger, and then like on a Saturday afternoon, you know, it'd be something different to throw on. If it happened to be like, you know, one of those old West flicks, I couldn't even tell you, you know, like who would be in them or whatnot. I'm probably not even Clint Eastwood ones, like some of the really low, just happen to be on kind of shit I won't remember the name of and never will probably see again. But sometimes I appreciate that kind of thing. Anyway, as far as Tombstone goes, this is definitely a movie that paved the way for that. This and the Young Guns movies, I think, definitely paved the way for a more comfortable, more viewer friendly adaptation of this kind of you know, old west, you know, cowboy kind of situation. You know, I think the way it was made was really well. I mean, that the cast carried it anyway. A lot of it's based on true events and whatnot. It's definitely not, you know, 100% accurate, I'm sure. But I think because of the cast that they had and how well every single cast member did, it definitely launched it to the next level and made it a lot more, you know, crowd friendly, and a lot more people watched it because of that. Even to this day, or a lot over the years, where it's like, oh, I heard about Tombstone. I heard about Tombstone. They're like, oh, that person's in it. That person's in it. And then you know, as you get later in the years and years go by, then it's, oh, now it's a younger version. Like, look at Billy Bob in this movie, man. You know, I mean, he looks you almost can't even really tell it's him until he starts talking. You know, but I mean, I thought it was great, dude. I mean, Jason Priestley was in his heyday with like 90210 and shit. You know, so I think that's why he got a lot of screen time. He wasn't the best character in there, but he played his role well. You know, as did everybody in this flick. You know, so. It's one of my favorites, definitely in this genre, and I'll put it up there as one of my favorites of all time. I mean, I don't know if it's a top five, but it's definitely in the top 10. It's just nostalgic to me, and I like the camaraderie, and I think a lot of, you know, I think it's geared towards, like, I don't want to say it's geared towards dudes, but young dudes growing up and just are like buddies and shit. This is a movie for, you know, they kind of like, you can kind of like grasp that aspect of it a little bit better. But I think anybody can grasp the, you know, the concept behind this movie. So I think that's why it's as successful as it's been.
Yeah, it tells the brotherhood a little bit, right? Same thing
Yeah,
as
yeah,
Young
yeah.
Guns, right? Like it's like,
Yes.
you know, you're
Yeah.
searching for that familiar connection, and even in this flick, the brothers definitely connect more to themselves and Doc and the other guys than they do to their wives, really. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just the way they shoot it. But Jamie G, what do you think? You know, obviously we all love the flick. You know, where do you sit on westerns, and you know, did Tombstone help you get you into the genre? Is it one of your favorites? You know, kind of where do you sit in all that?
You know what's interesting, Mills? I think a lot of young men get to the point where they have that one random Western thing that makes them want to play cowboys and Indians, that makes them want to like get into that whole thing growing up. It certainly was for my generation and generations before that. It was a big deal. You go out back in the yard, and, you know, before cell phones and technologies, and I remember like making like wooden shaped, you know, pistols and stuff, and like trying to like trees limbs that you would get that would look like things, and you're out there and you're playing, dude. And that's like
I'm
what
playing,
you
dude.
Nothing
did,
better than a
man.
good gun stick, dude. A good gun stick,
Good
huge.
gun stick was a real thing, dude. It was like that was what we had, right? And it's so foreign to even say it in today's age because people are going to be like, Jamie G, what's going on in your brain, dude? What are you talking about? But that was really what it was. And so this movie was that. For the generation prior, they had like the John Wayne stuff and all that. For me, Tombstone was like the complete picture of like everything I wanted, but it set place in this really cool time and really interesting piece of American history, actually, when we started to expand west. And all those things combined made me fall in love with this era. I'm not like a Western guy, but what's funny is anytime anything comes out and it's set in this era, it automatically earns a brownie point with me. So maybe I am a Western guy. I love this time in American history, and I love what movies and shows and things have been able to do with it. Probably one of the biggest reasons why I love Deadwood, like the setting. Like I'm a big fan of this, dude. And this movie was really kind of like the moment when I started to fall in love with it. Then you add in the cast and one of the most epic characters ever created in Doc Holliday. He's everybody's best friend. You want to be boys with this guy. He's awesome. I love Doc Holliday, dude. Great, great, great character. All that combined, and that's what elevated this movie to a level that's just like it's up there, man. It's really good for all those reasons. But this made me fall in love with this era of history.
I'm going to interject real quick and just say I have not been out west. I have not been to the western part of the United States. So when I see movies like this, or even any movies that take place out there with those particular landscapes and things that I have not laid my eyes on other than on film, I'm always intrigued. So I think that's part of it too, you know.
Absolutely. And I think Jamie G, like the parallels to Deadwood here, this is, I think,
Yeah.
the peak kind of version of a Western for me, right?
Yeah.
A lot of other good ones again, I even like the cheesier ones. I mentioned The Quick and the Dead, and I've gone back even recently rewatched Unforgiven, which is very
Maverick's a
good, but
good one.
definitely more of a very kind of revenge specific driven Western. Overall, this flick is kind of amazing that it exists the way that it does. The original scriptwriter was supposed to direct it. It was his first directing job. He got canned real quick in the studio because of their experience, went to Stallone. He's like, oh yeah, I got this guy who directed First Blood Part 2 and Cobra. And that's who wound up, George P. Costamos, who wound up directing. But apparently Kurt Russell was really the shadow director and did most of the work behind the scenes, but it led to like a crazy toxic work environment because they refocused the film, which was originally supposed to be kind of like a sprawling Yellowstone epic about the Clantons versus the Earps, like a family thing, and they just made it all about Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. And a lot of the other actors weren't really happy, especially our guy Michael Rooker, as Masters, who kind of got squeezed. There were all these other subplots about the Clantons and the other cowboys and all these other things that happened that ultimately got changed out in favor of the movie we got with, Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer being the focus. But that's great. I sure it was a good script. It's actually online if you want to read it, but I think I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I don't really mind that it turned into the Wyatt Earp and Val Kilmer show. Do y'all have any just thoughts overall? Would you have preferred some kind of sprawling epic, or are you cool with kind of the more focused flick we get where, eventually like they introduce a lot of characters, but it's pretty tight on Doc and Wyatt?
What's the running time on this movie? I forgot.
It's like a solid like 2 hours, 10 minutes.
See, I wouldn't be opposed to, like, you guys were talking earlier about a movie that's like 3 1/4 or whatever. If this movie ran that long and did some of those other side stories, I think it could work. And I think that's the only way to be able to make something like that work because I wouldn't want to take away from what would already have been there. So if you were to try and get,
Yeah, you
other,
need like another hour to really do it
you need at
proper
least
because
another
there's so
hour or
many other
so.
characters.
But I think it could, for a movie like this, I think it would work as long as it didn't, I mean, this movie doesn't drag, it moves the entire time. You never get bored. So if it kept with that pace, I think it would be a master. It is a masterpiece, but I think it would even be more so of that.
Yeah, I'd love to get more with the other Earp brothers and more of the Cowboys. What do you think, Jamie G? With the way it worked out, Are you cool with it being kind of more focused on Wyatt and Doc, or would you like to see, more of a more sprawling kind of epic Western?
You know what's wild, Mills, is I swear we don't rehearse this, but you keep lobbing these typical Jamie G answers to these incredible questions, which is a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Because here's why, my man. Yeah, it was enough. 100%. It delivered and it allowed you to focus on a couple of key things that they wanted to tell within this variation of the story. And I think that's the cool part. Like the legacy of Wyatt Earp and the Earps and this era of American history, Gold Rush, all that, the settling out west. The reality is that's such a great thing that you can tell it in a variety of different ways, in different stories and different things. And so in this variation, I think they nailed it with Tombstone. But the other flip of the coin is, Mills, is the answer is yes. I also want to see a lot more of the other stuff as well. And that's why I think a series of movies, like something needs to be done to continue to tell this story, because I think it's absolutely remarkable of the Earps and the reach that they had. Wyatt goes on after this and has a whole nother life, dude.
Well, there's a whole life before this too.
And he had a whole life before this. Like it's a wild thing. And yes, this should be a series, not
I
just
could see it
one,
being a
but it
really good
works as
series.
one-off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially it's one you could do theoretically with three stages of his life, right? You have like
Yeah.
the old Dodge City, like that's a young Wyatt, and then you have the middle age Wyatt here in Tombstone, and
Dude,
then you
this
have
could
like old
probably
Wyatt
be,
doing.
yeah, I
Yeah.
could see this being like an HBO 4 or 5 season, 10 episode, cover everything, that would be the way to do it instead of one super long,
Very cool, dude.
yeah.
I would sign up for that if they did that. Like you could do it. You could probably do it in 4, but I think that this would be an awesome thing with starting off like the legacy of where his legend came from, the Tombstone era, and then his life after it, because it's a remarkable thing. And it's not just Wyatt Earp, it's that he had so much influence or involvement and or presence within this big stage of kind of the development of the West. And it's a crazy thing in our country's history. Like it's a wild thing in America, like the development of the West, the gold rush, everything that led people over there, how hard it was to get there, like the development of like basically a new society over there. Like it's a crazy time frame in American history that doesn't get talked about enough. And this is such a great story within it, and then Wyatt Earp surrounding that. I think you could do the whole series on Wyatt Earp and they've done this. It's not like this, we're not like inventing the wheel here, but this is why this is so cool. It's because it's smack dab in the middle of all of it.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, they cut it down to what it is. But man, when you get into it, it moves. The introductions to everybody are just done really well. You get the whole thing at the train station. Boom. Here are the Earp brothers. Here are their wives. You get the start of the runner where Wyatt just declines the job before people can even offer it to him. That's just a fun little bit that keeps going. It's very economical, let's say. You get them on the train. You get him in there. You kind of the famous line for Wyatt.
Never saw a rich man didn't wind up with a guilty conscience.
I already got a guilty conscience. Might as well have the money too.
And that's what kind of keeps the pervasive thing, the thought for him throughout the first act is just like, I'm just getting the money. I'm here. I did my job. I'm going to do what I got to do. We mentioned it. You don't give much to Virgil and Morgan here. It's like, hi, we have Sam Elliott. We have Bill Paxton, but they're just kind of here. Bill Paxton's just like, have you ever seen a dude who's like that much like G golly Willikers? Like he is just the most like whimsical dude I've seen in a minute.
He is a real gosh kind of guy.
Right, I'm surprised he doesn't say gosh and golly more than he does. He's just that dude, you know what I mean? But Sean Paxton, he plays it to a T.
He does, and you get to see his range later on in life with all the things he had, Big Love and all the rest. Like he did a lot of stuff, but like you're right, he plays it just the gosh, gee Wallaker kind of. He doesn't say a curse word.
Yeah, I don't need to get into
like he's just a perfect Morgan. Like but it works, man, and you feel for him when he hurts. And you get to that point where he gets clipped or whatever. That was the weak fish. They went after him first. Like, but that's a big deal when it happens.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, that was kind of like that was a
That was
major
war.
plot point, but
Declaration of
back
war.
to Paxton. I mean, obviously this isn't the Paxton review here, but real quick shout out Weird Science, dude. His role in Weird Science was great.
Oh, he's invented so many things. Dude. Like I
Done
feel,
a
yeah,
lot.
it's RFA.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible. But this was really in the movie the signifying moment where we went from Wyatt Earp didn't want to break the rules or he wanted to live a quiet life. Like he snaps out of all of that. That's the one annoying thing about Wyatt Earp in this movie is he's just like the whole time he's like, "No, I don't want any trouble." But it's like, dude, it's like World War II all over again. Like we went into isolationism, we didn't want to do anything, and then it was too late. Now we got into a war because it was already there, but we might have been able to stop it. Same thing here with Wyatt Earp. He's playing a stay out of my backyard, I'll stay out of yours isolationism in this movie, and he doesn't want any trouble. If he just opened up a little bit earlier, maybe they could have avoided this and headed on a little bit, and maybe they didn't have to suffer what they did. But that gives them the reason to go full bore against all odds and like win, right? So it sets it up for that. But this was the moment where he snaps out of that. I don't want any beef to like, oh, now it's on.
Call down the thunder. Well, you got it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's it. There's a couple of good scenes that take place
Yeah,
at
dude.
train stations in this one. Just super economical flick does great. Like you go into Tombstone, looks great. A lot of cool shots when they're traversing the plains and whatnot. And you meet Bayhan, the mayor. He's like, yeah, I'm the everything. Like, he's almost a micro machine man. Like, I'm the tax collector. I'm the mayor. I'm the guy. You need something. I'm the guy. You need somewhere to live. I'm the guy. And everyone's just in this flick. You meet everybody real quick. Like, bam, bam, bam. It's just like, oh shit, dude. I can't believe how many people are here. And I remember being a youth. One of the coolest things was all right, like I don't watch a lot of westerns. I don't know how this is working. And then Kurt Russell walks into the Oriental, like, oh, they got this great casino. No one's going there. And he walks in, and you mentioned it before. You got Billy Bob Thornton here, almost unrecognizable outside of his voice and just carrying more weight with the beard. But goddamn, this is one of the scenes I remember the most. Just so many memorable parts of it here. Either y'all have any favorites from this scene where this is how Wyatt and the brothers gain their stake in the Oriental, which it sets them up at the Pharaoh game. But dude, this is one of my most memorable scenes from the flick. Love it to death. Who wants to chime in first there?
Absolutely, dude. You know what? I mean, people always say the best quote, and I'm not saying the best quote in the movie. People always think about the Doc Holliday quotes, the Huckleberry and he ain't no daisy and all that stuff. But I think one of the better ones is right there at that moment where he's like,
Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Listen, mister, I'm getting awful tired of your...
I'm getting tired of your gas. Now jerk that pistol and go to work. I said throw down, boy.
and and they slaps him around a bit, and you can do something, or you're just gonna stand there and bleed. I mean, that's
It's
great.
facts,
I mean,
dude. No.
if you can bring that into your life some way, I mean, go for it.
Dude, the soup, the
Spin that
confidence,
smoke wagon, dude.
bro, the confidence, the swagger, the I'm better than everybody in this room and I'm the big dick in the room, like energy off the charts here, dude. Legendary quote of go ahead and skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what. First of all, calling a gun a smoke wagon is just freaking cool. Telling him to skin it's even cooler. And dude, the way he smacks him around here, dude, just pure confidence. Soup, I'm with you. One of the best moments. You fall in love with this character. You're like, yeah, dude, a little bit of a badass here.
There's another little quick, there's kind of a quick other hidden one where the other dude, like later in the movie, is he comes up and he's like, "Man, I'll fight you right now." One of the cowboys like, "I'll fight you right now," and he like shows the gun, but like Wyatt Earp just grabs his gun and hits him in the head with his own gun.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's so smooth. He's got so much swagger. He's so confident, and he's the freaking man, dude. And he knows it. Coming to this town with a bunch of people who aren't sophisticated, he's smart. He knows how to do it. He's tough.
How perfect was Kurt Russell in this role, though? And I mean, this is pretty much prime Kurt Russell. Like this is right there, the Snake Plissken. you know, where it would maybe Overboard happened
Yes.
before this, I think, you know, and Big Trouble in Little China. So he's right there in that.
He's at his peak here, Soup. He's at his peak, but we
I'll
just
throw in
need.
Miracle, dude, where he plays the U.S. hockey coach. That's also
That's also incredible. But guys, we got to take a moment and appreciate and respect his mustache as Wyatt Earp. This thing is a work of art. It's down. It's wide. It's wide as the West here. This thing is big, and the way he wears it, dude, just it really makes him this character. It's hard to imagine.
They spent a lot of
Earp
time in
yell.
their mustaches back in the day, apparently, you know. I mean, you see
Oh,
a
that
couple
must
times
have
they're not
waxing.
it got somebody else trimming it up for him, waxing it, you know. I mean, spending time in your stash, dude.
A lot of people have played Wyatt Earp. I don't remember many others other than the first person I think of is Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp in this movie Tombstone. So I'll
Because
say
of the stash.
I think a stash
helps.
plays part of it, brother. I
It
think it
definitely
does. I think the stash helps here, dude.
It is a wonderful stash. Now tell me what, man. If Tom Selleck came in there, Mr. Stash himself, could he size up to Kurt Russell with Stash as Wyatt Earp?
That would be a tough one.
Give him a run for the money.
I pay
It'd
money
be
to
a
see
tough
that.
one,
I think
dude.
I'd pay a couple bucks to see
And
that.
size up with little Stash size up, dude. See who wins that work.
You know, could
The one thing I do doubt Wyatt is that, like, when he takes the gun off him, he just like no look passes it back to Milt behind the bar. Like that, do not do that with a loaded gun. Probably, like that's probably
careless,
the one. The one thing I would doubt Wyatt on.
Especially if you don't trust the guy you're passing it. You just met this dude, man. Can you?
Who didn't even believe you were Wyatt Earp when they were first
Right.
introduced? When he introduced himself like Wyatt Earp, he's like, yeah. You know, again, they play that trope that he is well known fairly well throughout it. But then that's where we get our second intro to Doc Holliday. Let's just rewind back to the initial intro to Doc Holliday because we didn't mention it when he, basically cleans out the joint.
Take your money and get out, because I'm tired of listening to your mouth. Why, Aunt Bailey? We cross? Does this mean we're not friends anymore? You know, Ed, if I thought you weren't my friend, I just don't think I could bear it.
Maybe the one kind of time he's a little bit raw when he stabs the dude, but otherwise, I think it does an excellent job of just setting up who Doc Holliday is and letting Val Kilmer shine as Doc Holliday.
He tried to be friends again.
Any thoughts here on the kind of opening scene as Doc Holliday, and then we'll get into his first initial scene here with Wyatt Earp.
Just nothing other than just right away you kind of know it's a work of art here. I think it should have been recognized and respected and given a lot more awards here. This is a big reason why this movie works, is this character, how awesome he is, how cool he is, dude. Given everything during this time frame, he's so cool and just right away everything that he's going to be in is going to work.
Yeah, very, very cool character, very well played. I mean, Val Kilmer crushes it as he did every role he played, but this one was one of his best, even on his arsenal, but yeah, exactly. Again, that cool, calm demeanor. That he was like the cool. He's not the leader of the class, but he's the cool kid in the class. It's right there, and but just in that group, and just he's got girls sitting on his lap. He's got a serious poker game going on. He just does not give a fuck.
Bottle of whiskey, dude. He's
doing
cash.
Yeah, he's in control no matter what.
He's the coolest, dude.
Yes, he's cool. He's like the Fonz, dude. He's cool.
Yeah, it establishes how cool he is. Yeah. Just the idea that they just put everything in the bag, right? Like, throw the gun in the bag. All right, let's put the chips in the bag. Let's put the money in the bag. I'll just throw my little tin cup in the bag, and I really wish I had one of those little tin cups.
Tin cup's so cool. It's
I
so
calculate
cool.
That's the end of this.
I want to bring that back, dude. I want to bring that back to do shots out of.
Let's not bother about the luggage.
Yeah. Just so cool. I don't know if you're wearing a bustle or not, but that's not really the point here. We kind of get the little bit of introduction to the acting troupe, which obviously is important because Wyatt is going to love Josephine. But also we get Billy Zane. Is this dude Fabian? I'm pretty much used to Billy Zane playing the douchebag, right? Like that's who he's always been. Most famously probably in Titanic. He's kind of like the noble, like pretty boy here. It actually really works for me. I was surprised. Shout out Billy Zane, Jamie G. Any thoughts kind of on the whole acting true plot line? We get the big theater scene, everyone shooting at him, all that. Any thoughts on this?
I thought he worked fantastic, and he kind of showed his range as this kind of like creative, hippie-esque big thinker, but romancer and that kind of thing. And it worked really well. He's good at this role, and I thought that he kind of set himself, and we know him from doing other things. This was kind of one of his early things, and it was almost a perfect fit for him. I loved it, and it played out throughout the end, and I love how they bring it back towards the end too. Like this was a good, it mattered in the storyline. So good thing here.
Soup, anything to add kind of on the Fabian here, the lead actor? We get Josephine, the acting troupe. We get that scene at the theater where they're kind of like, shooting at the dude, juggling, all that. And, this is probably the main thing that Billy Jason Priestley gets brought in on, right? Like, you get the idea, like, he's really into Fabian, I think.
Yeah, he's super into it, man. He appreciates the art. He appreciates the aspect that they're trying to portray, and it tells a lot about his character and also the characters that are performing. The one got shot at and he ran off stage, and next up is dude with his St. Crispin's Day speech, and he powers through even though he got shot at. So. I think it kind of what it does is pave the way for without telling a whole lot and using a lot of words. Here's this character. Let me show you that. Here's this character. I'll show you that. Without having to tell a story. And sometimes that's the best way to do it. A lot of times that's the best way to do it if you don't want to like spend too much time on it and drag it out. So perfectly done.
And not only does Wyatt defeat Johnny Tyler, when he leaves the Oriental, there he comes out. We get the introduction. Hey, Doc Holliday, like, very nice. But the funny part is when Johnny Tyler comes back up with that shotgun, as soon as, like, first he's like, oh, Doc, you back in town? And he's like, you're Wyatt Earp? Once he finishes, and then the way he just leaves the shotgun, especially they just forget about him, right? They leave in the background. Oh, you're still here? Oh, you can go now. And Kurt Russell just chewing on a cigar, like, hey, leave the shotgun. So good.
Yeah,
dude,
like,
those are the two. I mean, that's like you don't get cooler than that, really, man.
You can't. There is
that
not.
Establishes exactly how cool they are, and I think this is just a cool movie. I hate to be, kind of that simplistic with it, but man, there's a lot of cool shit in this movie.
It's very cool, dude.
And at the end of it, cool. when he's like, you may leave now, he thanks them. He's like, thank you.
Yeah, literally. He like once he realizes that's Wyatt Earp, he's like, oh, I got off easy.
Oh, Johnny, I apologize. I forgot you were there. You may go now.
Just leave that shotgun. Leave it. Thank you.
Right.
I just gave up my one gun and the shotgun and my little piece.
Slapped around a little bit, whatever,
Yeah, not really a big deal. I guess the other thing here that I'm probably not the highest on, when we get the introduction of the acting troupe, we get Josephine, and you get the whole romantic plot between her and Wyatt. I guess it's fine. I mean, they pretty much established early that Wyatt's wife is just really just basically doing like she's hooked on the SERP, right? Like she's just like codeine and
she's an opium addict, right?
She tries the one point, when they leave the theater, she's like, "Oh, Wyatt, stay home with me," and then he's like, "No, I gotta go to work," and then she just hits the bottle. So I think they try to make it easy for us as an audience to root for him to get with the actress chick.
Yeah.
Apparently they were supposed to, get it on after that horse chase scene. That's probably my least favorite scene in the flick, just because, all right, we get it. They like each other. They had to meet at some point, but whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean that's historically how it went down.
Right. Correct.
But you know what? They didn't overload you with it. You know, there are, you know, I mean, I could do without, you know, me. I mean, you know, I mean, I could do without the brown. I don't want what that kind of aspect. Or sometimes if that's the movie I'm watching in a Western, no, man, if you sprinkle a little bit in like they did here, I think they did the right amount. I don't like, again, like I said, I don't think they overloaded it. So
my one question is, and maybe Snoop, you know this more than I do, or maybe Jamie G, you do. Her whole pitch is like, I just want to move around and get room service. In my experience, room service, not that kill, overpriced, not that great. Can either of y'all defend room service?
yeah, no, I'm not going to defend room service. Maybe in a really good like hotel, you probably get some
high end, dude. It's got to be high end for room
and
service.
you know they're making money, so and back then they're probably getting the creme de la creme or whatever. But I think the point of that conversation was let's just cruise around, and not have to do shit, you know, like have people do shit for us, you know, and just enjoy life and not have to, you know, worry about working or whatever, you know, just kind of live could just kind of roll by the way the wind blows, you know. I think that was kind of the point of the conversation there, and it intrigued him enough to keep him interested. You know. Did have to pry it out. She did have to pry it out of him because at first he was like, "I want the family and kids. You know, that's what suits me." And she was like, "Nah, don't."
Yeah,
and
she didn't believe that. She did not believe that for 1 second. And then when Wyatt tries to apply it on Meg, like, hey, you know, what if we just want to? We made a lot of money. Let's just move on. Let's just do the room service thing. And she's like, "What the are you talking about?"
Yeah,
she shut him down real quick, just showing
yeah.
you that they were not, you know, at least not the one true pair or whatever. We get a bunch of fun Doc Holliday shit. One of the favorites, obviously, is what happens if you put Doc Holliday on a 36-hour poker drinking bender when he's just taking all of Ike's money. Jamie G, you're the poker guy. 7 hands in a row. He was probably cheating, right?
I don't know that I ever won 7 hands in a row. I think he might have been cheating. That's no matter how great you are, no matter how much
they're playing like stud 1 draw or something too.
Yeah,
they're not
dude,
playing community cards. It's really hard. Like
it's hard because it's the natural.
Smarter?
It's the natural flow of the card. So difficult to win that many in a row. He is legend, so I'm going to give him that. But he might have had some influence. Let's put it that way.
I hate to think of him as a cheater, you know. I feel like he's
he's a mechanic. He dealt like that back in the day, like they had rotating dealers, so you would
so I think he just played he said it's an honest trade. That was his direct quote. So I don't think he was a cheater. I think he just knew how to manipulate the game enough, especially when playing against inferior opponents, that, you know, he could win 7 in a row.
I like that. I like kind of keeping Doc Holliday a little bit clean like that. But one line I would like to use more in my personal life is when they bring Whitey in and try to get him out.
Been hitting awful hard, haven't you? Nonsense. I've not yet begun to defile myself.
I'm gonna work that one into my personal life a little more. And then, dude, the best line to Ike, right? He's like, "Well, shit.
Maybe poker's just not your game, Ike. I know. Let's have a spelling contest. I bet about just ring your sterling down."
Yeah,
Doc has got some of the best one-liners.
That's epic, right? That's a burn, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually tell that to people sometimes. Although I'm personally much better writing when it comes to spelling than saying it out loud. As weird as that is, like
I get it, and it's different. Yeah. That's like if I play music, I can't really like listen to it and play it. I have to like read it and play it, you know.
That actually makes sense. Yeah, I get that. The whole idea is Doc's out here for the tuberculosis thing, and then the doctor comes over and is basically like, "Oh yeah, dude, like I can't even believe like you're walking around and doing this." And you know, obviously, his girl comes in there. You know, she's got the little smokesky and the whatnot.
Yes, it's true. You are a good woman. Then again, you may be the Antichrist.
You get the idea, right, that this is what Doc is doing. Like, he knows he's going to die, and he's just playing out the string so he has no fear, which I think feeds into the idea why he has, you know, he doesn't even worry about Johnny Ringo or anybody, right? Because he's going to die anyway.
He has no fear. There's no that, and that also elevates how cool he is because he's fearless, and also why he's so great at poker because he's
exactly, dude. You know, and if you read into, you know, if you look into his character a little bit more like that, like he's going through this movie anyway or whatever, what it depicts is that Doc Holliday doesn't want to. He's not a dude that wants to die dying. He wants to die living.
Yeah.
But come to find out at the end, he kind of does die dying, which is sad. But he did live. So, I guess it
He
equals
lived
out.
all the way through,
He didn't
man.
spend too much time dying, at least from what it showed. I don't. But anyway, he wasn't
For
going to
tuberculosis, probably
he
about
wasn't
as
going
good as you
to he
get,
wasn't
right?
going to quit. He wasn't going to quit living until he absolutely could not fucking physically do it anymore. And I think that's what it came down to.
Yeah, he legitimately throws the doctor out when he's like, "Oh yeah, you can't have marital relations with your lady." It's like,
You're right. Yeah. Fuck you.
The doc's like, "Yeah, like, all right. I know. That's that has been a bridge too far. I'm
Better
sorry.
start
I
doing some tongue exercises.
So if I were you, I would start doing some tongue exercises before Friday.
Well, that's more Kingpin related, but that's
Thank you for catching that.
yeah, and we will eventually. There is the showdown with him and Johnny Ringo, or the almost showdown, I should say. But first, you get the scene. You don't get actually very many scenes with Curly Bill and why the main protagonist. And you have the scene in the Oriental where they're playing poker. Whatever Curly Bill. Actually, not sure what game they're playing, but Curly Bill, Johnny Ringo. He throws it down, wins $500. Back then, crazy money. And then, of course, Johnny Ringo and Doc, they talk in the Latin. And then you get the famous gunplay joint. Johnny Ringo thinks he's doing it. And then Doc Holliday just spins his little tin cup. That's
Dude, the
way up there for
sickest
my
turn
favorite
in
scene.
history, man. That's so well played. Like, I mean, I don't
He
know.
wins the crowd over, right? Like Johnny Ringo does a very impressive thing, and Doc's like, "Yeah, I'm hammered, but watch this," and just it's so beautiful.
He one ups him no matter what, dude. It was fucking sick. I mean, that's one of the best. I don't know. That again,
Even Curly Bill's like kind of like, "Damn, dude, he got you a little bit."
right? Yeah,
Like
that's
he
like,
isn't even like because I'm sure they've all seen him practicing his whatnot, so it's almost just funnier the way that it happens. But the crazy thing, this is a long time ago. Curly Bill, like that's probably why the people like the Cowboys, right? He just throws up $500 like drinks for the bar. Back then,
right.
dude, how much would $500 worth of drinks be?
For a full
The
bar?
whole bar?
Right now,
It's
not
gotta be
That's like the
entire
whole bar for
It's gotta be the whole
2
bar.
days or something, right?
Gotta be
That's
the
a
whole
lot of
back
money.
then, maybe. Right now, I mean,
Yeah,
shit.
this is 1800, 1880, dude. Like $1, like whiskey was
$1
probably
is
like,
like 100.
penny shots. Whiskey was probably like 1, 5, 10 in cents.
Right.
$50, $500.
$500 is buying for like the next year. Like I own you for the next year.
Yeah, we're not talking about like super high dollar bourbons or anything. They don't have like 100
Right,
year.
they have the jars. They have the 1X, the 2X,
Yeah.
the 3Xs. That's pretty much what they have. But that makes it more understandable why some people would support the Cowboys, right? Because they do this kind of shit.
Yeah,
a
sure.
little bit,
Well, that's
kind of
what
like
they,
the give to
right
the
at the
poor
beginning,
a
is
little bit.
Cowboys are good for business. I mean,
Yeah.
But you got to find a happy medium there. You got to draw a line. You can't. If they're good for business, great. But who's running the place? That's where the problem came in.
Yeah, and of course that leads, Virgil takes a stand, Morgan goes with him. You know the story. It's going to happen. You get the showdown at the OK Corral. Maybe it's a little bit cheesy, but I still always love the shots of them walking up with the building burning behind them. I just think it just looks awesome. And apparently this is more or less realistic in terms of the number of people who took place in it. And even the "You're a Daisy if you do" line was apparently really said. So apparently real life Doc Holliday, super badass. You always remember Ike kind of diving through the window there where Behem and Josephine are hiding and that kind of thing. But very cool Western shootout. I don't know what to say other than it. It is what it is, and it's pretty awesome.
Well, this movie had a couple of climatic moments, and that was definitely the one that really set it off into okay, now we're in another chapter of this movie, and from there, there's a lot more shooting after that, but OK Corral, the Battle of the OK Corral is legendary. I mean, it's historical, I mean, that shit happened, it definitely didn't happen exactly like that, but it went down, man,
Yeah, apparently even Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday doing the wink was improvised.
Well, see, that whole scene was great because it was kind of like that. As soon as it happened, then Wyatt noticed it, and he's like, "Oh, fuck." Here we go.
Yeah, he clocks it like, yeah. Unlike Mac and Always Sunny, like he does the ocular pat down. He's like, oh shit. Like he clocks the change. He's like, oh no, this is gonna go down. And then even like all through the film, there's like two runners. Wyatt turning down the job without people asking it, and Ike being like, oh no, I don't have a gun. Please don't kill me.
Yeah, he's fucking tough guy with that runs away. He's a coward.
Which is amazing because he's Stephen Lang, like the bad guy in the first Avatar movie, and a whole bunch of shit. Like he's generally always a badass dude.
Well, he still played a good role. He played that role well, dude. I mean, you got Ike Land a fucking dumbass. You got to play a dumbass, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, they even said he was hammered on time, hammered on the set all the time. Perhaps he's method acting, but you got to do what you got to do here. Jamie G, would you ever just throw deeds on the table? That's one thing that happens right before the big showdown with Johnny Ringo and Wild, like Curly Bill. Like, damn, dude, people are just throwing deeds out there. At the end, like, yeah, we're in the mining business now. That's kind of nice.
I guess that's like the flex, instead of throwing like $10,000 cash down on somebody, you can just, throw the deeds down. It's still probably a flex today too, if you had a bunch of deeds to valuable land or property, but it was more relevant then because, that was worth a whole lot more than money, and money was like change. There wasn't a lot of dollars.
Dude, if you're playing Monopoly, you get your hands on the 4 railroads in like Baltic and shit, then you're probably
throw them down, dude.
You can, so yeah, man.
Railroads where it's at, dude. I have a big
railroads
where the railroad strategy.
The utilities, not so much. They're okay to have, but if you can get all 4 railroads, man, shit.
You take the utilities as a trade, throw it in trades. That's where you
trading piece.
That's what that's we're kicking into that part of the flick. There's going to be the revenge. We saw a little bit of the cowboy procession for the funeral earlier. Apparently, there was more stuff filmed. Even saw a little bit of the trailer. They had a whole thing where they had their own bonfire and their own funeral celebration, and it sets up the idea here. The Earps, they're doing the funeral. They're pulling out. And they stop. They talk to the cowboys, and Wyatt's like, all right, I'm gonna leave. I'm out of here.
Yeah, and they mock them for a little bit, right? Smells like someone died. But see, this kind of brings me back to the beginning a little bit, and I don't know, I don't even know that we went over this, the introduction of the cowboys, like how the movie starts, man. They go up to somebody's wedding. Y'all killed 3 cowboys. This is to tell you how serious these fucking guys are and what they're doing. This is your introduction to the cowboys, and then ultimately you get to the point where Ringo, they shoot everybody and shit, but then Johnny Ringo
kills the preacher.
Ringo decides to kill the priest or whatever it is, And then there was a thing about the dead horse. He was speaking in Spanish, and the Spanish guy didn't know whatever, all that. I don't have to get into, but I think that moment kind of just like gave you the here's what these guys are, let you know what these guys are right away,
Totally establishes that, especially Ringo, which does a good job because then when you lose Curly Bill, it makes him almost the Cowboys more dangerous, right? Because now Ringo is in charge. And even Curly Bill says at one point, like, man, I don't even think, I don't even want to know what's going to happen to this outfit when Ringo's in charge. So they do a good job setting it up.
It's really cool how the whole way through the movie, with Curly Bill and Ringo versus Wyatt and Doc, because they're pretty much the same fucking character on opposite sides of the spectrum. You know what I mean? Like that's the good version, or there's the Doc and Wyatt version, and the
yin and the yang, right? Like this could be you, the Batman and the Joker, right? Like this could be you if if just circumstances were tweaked slightly.
I definitely think they did a good job at putting that out there and working with that. So that was well played.
Still, I almost cheered every time though when they think they're going to get him on the train, and then Wyatt just shotguns him from behind, and then he gives the whole I'm coming and hell's coming with me.
Hell's coming with
Kurt
me.
Russell just chewing the scenery, but it's awesome.
Tell all the other curs the law's coming. You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me. You hear? Hell's coming with me.
That's legendary too. That's right up there with that's right up there with any great quote from this movie, man. You called out the thunder, now you got it.
Yeah,
that's just beautiful. I love it every time. It never, at that point it's like a, Rocky kind of like when they're like, all right, like now you're going to get the training montage and then the fight. And that's almost what happens here. Because now, all right, they get on horseback. finally, hey, look, it's Michael Rooker. You get everybody in, they start just mowing people down. One of my favorite bits, great horseback stuff here. You get some good kills, but at one point, I think there's supposed to be like an opium joint, and dude thinks he's sucking on a pipe, and it's Wyatt Earp's 6-shooter.
Oh
And
yeah,
he
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
blasts him,
Right.
dude. Like, there's some gangster stuff in there. It's
Definitely
a
some
really
gangster
cool
shit. But see,
sequence.
again, with this turnaround here, like everybody thinks that the Cowboys and shit think they're all leaving town, and Verge and so it's basically down to Wyatt and Doc, right? But the reason they could pull off what they pulled off is because the Cowboys fucked up and fucked around and shot at their fucking chicks and shit, their wives and whatnot. They didn't like that. They didn't respect what the other Cowboys were doing. That's why the fucking McLaurys and whatever like ended up joining forces with them, or what's his name?
Yeah, McMasters. Yeah, that's why everyone
Creek
joined up
Johnson
with
and,
him. Yeah.
and those guys and shit.
Texas Creek, and
Right.
yeah,
So
the
so
other one.
they
Yeah.
they joined forces, and now that made Wyatt Earp's side a lot more
Gave him his
a lot
posse.
stronger.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the ultimate factor that was able to do what they did, But
Yeah,
a
don't
little
fuck with the women, dude. Like, that's especially back then, but ever, and
or
never do.
any
It's like,
time,
yeah,
ever, yeah. But still, yeah, major factor in that, and from there, I think that's then the story carries on, dude. You know what I mean? Well, here we are. Now let's advance. And you're getting it, or they're getting it, and we'll see what happens. He said, "I see a red sash, I'm killing the guy wearing it." I mean, it's crazy how things were back then, man. I mean, back then it might have been cool to go ahead and waving your pistolas in the air. They called us sons of motherless goats, man, or whatever it is. Back then you had the guns like that and stuff, but like bring back swords, or that thing that spiky ball with the chain, or learn how to play like a real for anything. Anybody can pull a trigger. I mean, I think it's a cheap way out, and I think people take advantage of it in the wrong way.
there are a lot of things from this flick I remember from my youth, from maybe the first time or two I watched it, but almost none stick out as much as that scene where Kurt Russell walks up the creek and winds up killing Curly Bill. Just no. It's a little cheesy, but goddamn, if it isn't awesome. And apparently, in real life, this is kind of what happened. Like, Wyatt Earp, legitimately, from all respects, even if he wasn't the greatest human, like, walked up this creek. Old guns weren't as accurate as you'd think they were, apparently, but he
Right.
actually got up there, and more or less it played out the way it did. But goddamn, this is just cool. And I mean, even after you get the scene with like Texas Creek and other boys, like,
Did you ever see anything like that before?
Hell, I ain't never even heard of anything like that. Nothing.
And where's Wyatt? He's down by the creek, walking on water. That's what Doc says.
so good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, that's another climatic moment of the movie, man. I mean, it might have been one of those where Marvin shot off 7 bullets and it didn't hit a single thing, just the wall. And he's like, man, maybe God came down from heaven and stopped them bullets, but whatever it is,
Divine
I was
intervention.
getting shot at a lot, and he did not get shot, but he ended up taking out, he ended up winning the day, basically. So call it what it is. But I mean, that's how the story goes, So I failed on my Pulp Fiction reference there.
Yeah, no, you did not. I understood exactly what you were going for. In another movie, I think they call it like a Deus Ex Machina, like a hand from God. Like, he just gets to do it and gets away with it. But here, I think it's earned, because Wyatt's never really a sharpshooter. At the very end, maybe he gets a little bit, but for the most part, he even admits it, right? Like, his whole deal is he doesn't fight.
Well, yeah, kind of a main plot point, I think, too, when he was talking to his youngest brother, Morgan, about when he was all gung ho about joining the squad. He's like, let me tell you something. He breaks it down. He's like, I've only ever been mixed up in one gunfight, and a man lost his life, and I took it. And he tells him straight up, you don't ever want to know what that feels like. And he does it in his Kurt Russell Wyatt Earp way. And then later on, that comes into play where it happens, and he was like, you were right, Wyatt. So I think that was a major factor in the story as well.
Yeah, at that point, he didn't think, they were trapped. They needed a way out, and he, went basically God mode. I don't know that I love the convenience that eventually he and Josephine kind of meet at that ranch there, where he has a conversation with Doc in bed. But man, that him and Doc in bed there, like, it's a nice setup for the eventual end scene we get with Wyatt and Doc when Doc is on his literal deathbed. But here, when he fakes it a little bit, man, it always gets me in the feels, dude.
Yeah, it definitely does, man. And he's like, you know what? Maybe I made out to be a little more sick than I actually was, or whatever. I might have missed that one. I might have been off on that one, but
Oh, I wasn't quite as sick as I made out.
it's somewhere right there. So he was playing him a little bit because he knew he was going to have to go. He like Doc knew that he was going to have. That's why he took the fucking badge and shit. You know, like he knew he was going to have to go do that. And I think that was his last act of greatness in what was Doc Holliday's life. You know, and I think he knew he was nearing the end, and his last moment of of strength in life was given to that, and it worked out the way it did.
Well, we all want honesty in our life, right? Like we want people to be honest with us, and
my hypocrisy.
Why it says like, hey, like I when it came down to Curly Bill, I didn't think about it, but I can't beat Johnny Ringo, and Doc's honest with him. No, you can't.
Well, he knew that. I think that's why he powered through and did it, knowing that he was on his last fucking leg. He was like, man,
right. That's the good writing, right? And that's where the setup is. Where then, like, at that point, Doc, like, once he knows that Wyatt is going to go meet him, then he makes a decision. All right, like, I have to make sure Wyatt doesn't do this because Wyatt will die otherwise. And then everything kind of flows down.
See that? I think that's one thing that's super powerful about this. As far as like that loyalty and camaraderie that you really, that's so unique. Dude. Is that like, okay, so he knows he's dying, but he doesn't want his best friend to die. So he goes and he doesn't want to put him in that position. He knows he's on his way out anyway. He goes, takes care of it. And
it's not even best friend. His only friend, right? He doesn't have a lot of friends. You know what I mean? Text like, hey, I got a lot of friends.
Dude, he says it, and
that's one of the best lines too. That's the 2 words. I don't. That meant that's so powerful the way it was delivered, like.
Dude, I like Wyatt, dude. And Wyatt says, I like Doc. These guys have a mutual love and brotherhood. And you're right, Soup. It comes through so big here in this action where he knew he might be on his way out. And man, he was a ride or die, dude. Like anybody. And that's why this character is so legendary. That's why this movie's so awesome. I would sign, dude, if you had a Doc Holliday level of friend who's willing to be a ride or die like that, I think anybody would sign up times 10 every day of the week, man. And that's what makes this so cool.
Shout out Michael Biehn as Johnny Ringo. We haven't really addressed the actual showdown, but how cool is it? One of the nice directing things they do in this flick is that if you watch, Johnny Ringo never blinks. Not until the very end when he sees that it's Doc Holliday and not Wyatt Earp, that he blinks. Just a nice job here establishing the whole thing. I mean, this is, again, one of my favorite scenes, just the showdown here between the two of them. There's not much that you can say other than it is, again, one of the kind of more classic showdowns here. Doc sells him once again and, gets it over on him, and, it's all legal.
I'm your huckleberry. Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
Fight's not with you, Holiday.
I beg to differ, sir. We started a game we never got to finish. Play for blood, remember?
When they first meet, when Doc and Ringo first meet, he's like, should I hate him, or whatever? And there was that conversation. He's like, I don't know, something around the eyes. Yep, I'm sure of it. I hate him.
Wonderful, dude. And you actually nailed the accent, dude. Nice. Good work there.
I don't know if I did that on purpose or not, but yeah, I've done Doc Holliday quotes since this movie came out,
It's by far, I think, at least for me, like the Western movie that's most personal. The one that sticks with me the most.
I'll put Young Guns real close with it for me. Both Young Guns as a whole. But yeah, Tombstone tops it a little bit, but Young Guns is right behind
it. It could be Young Guns. I mean, that's I think, maybe it's a little bit of an age thing, just where this one caught me in in terms of when I watch Young Guns. But yeah, I certainly enjoy both of them. Jamie G, anything to add here on the ultimate showdown between Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo.
Yeah, it's just legendary, dude. The whole coming up with the coat and just the way, dude, the swagger and confidence level of Doc Holliday here is on another level, dude. And this was the big scary one, right? This was the big bad. This was the one that you're like, how will they overcome this villain? And to see him go out there and take him out and win, it just signifies how awesome he is.
Well, see, there was also, before that actually happened, there was a scene where you thought it might happen, where Ringo's wasted as fuck and he's like, out there trying to play for blood. And
Right.
meanwhile, Doc's getting his mustache trimmed, because you got to trim up your stash, dude. That's how guys back in the day were manscaping. They were doing their stashes, man. Anyway, that's my theory. But anyway, he was getting scaped, dude. He was doing escaping, man. Barber, proceeds or having somebody else scaping him and shit, but stash scaping. Anyway, remember stash scaping. Anyway, whatever. Fuck. Moving from
Proceeds,
stash
Jet.
scaping. Yeah. So he gets up from that, interrupted that, and he goes out there. And I think this is one of the more legendary things too, because this is where he said, "This is the first I'm your Huckleberry," right? That's where he first says that.
Yes.
I think that's the breakthrough. I'll be Huckleberry. That's just my game.
Yeah, play for
Uh,
blood.
right, right. And and obviously, Curly Bill comes out and diffuses that situation, so that didn't happen. But they kind of gave you a little bit of a hint or a little foreshadowing of what's to come. So when it does actually, then when he comes out from that big oak and it's Doc and he tips his hat, or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, here we go, and I mean, if you've never seen the movie before, you probably know that this is going to end with Doc pulling it, coming out victorious. But even when I watch it now, I'm still like, man, that could go either way. But
Yeah, that's the other kind of violent part they loop back in at the very beginning. Doc stabs the dude, and here he shoots Johnny Ringo in the head. Johnny Ringo kind of like zombies around for a minute, and Doc's
oh
like,
yeah, he's like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
ain't no
yeah,
Daisy, you ain't no Daisy.
yeah.
Come
He's a
on, Johnny.
little kind of like dark, but
He fucks with him
whatever.
a bit,
Yeah,
but he knew
yeah,
he got
yeah,
him. He got him.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he got him. And yeah, dude, I love that scene actually. I mean, as far as I wouldn't call it I'll call it a violent death. I mean, I'm into the real slasher horror kind of movies, so compared to that, not really a violent death, but yes, this is a very violent death too, because he does, yeah, I mean, it's one shot, one kill. He gets him right in the fucking head. He knows he's got him and this dude's done. And he's stumbling out around still trying, but Doc knows there's no way, so he's just talking shit kind of. Well, not really talk, but yeah.
Oh, him and Johnny Ringo, I mean, they did a good job of building it up to be a pretty epic confrontation, right? Because theoretically, those are the number two guys. Like
Right.
Curly Bill and Wyatt are the number ones. Like this is one of the better, I think, matchups in film between like number twos.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
dude.
No,
Epic showdown
100%.
for sure, man. And you know what? You know what I love about this is it wasn't fucking
Yeah.
drawn out. Like sometimes a movie or whatever will build up to this thing and it's like it's like a 15, 20 minute fight scene, like this was just it was quick. And it made its point and it was fucking perfect. Yeah.
It was very, very good, but unfortunately, all good things end. And then we have the scene in the sanitarium here with Doc dying and Wyatt's coming in. He's obviously hanging on. I don't want to know if I want to put it in there with like Brian's song, but I feel like as a guy, this is designed to like elicit a certain emotion because it's hard not to like when Doc begs Wyatt to leave and just go live your life, like even after the fact that Wyatt has a happy ending and everything almost doesn't matter because it's just like that scene just it hurts for Doc, right? But then I guess he's free. Like tuberculosis really sucks, but damn.
Yeah, well, see, nobody. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. You don't want to see Doc Holliday die if you don't know anything about. Say you go in here blind, you have no idea who that character is or was from the past or whatever, and you're just watching the movie for the first time. This is your favorite character. You don't want to see him go out, but you kind of know he's gonna. But either way, dude, the way they fucking did this and just the way it is, there is when I just rewatched this shit, I teared up on that. In that scene,
Hard
I always,
not to, man.
it always gets me. I mean just the and shout out Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer for being able to play it that way. Just their back and forth, like I mean their chemistry and shit is just so right there. Where all he has to say is thanks for always being there, Doc. And they just give that nod and good enough. We know what's up. He did leave him with my friend Doc Holliday, thing. I mean, shit, I have a lot of friends, but I don't. And that's super important. So loyalty, man, loyalty, camaraderie, like that shit really hits me hard.
100%,
So
dude.
that's a moment in the movie that'll always tug on the cockles of my heart, man.
Jamie G, did this get your eye hole slick a little bit?
Yeah, it definitely did, dude. I mean, it's all the reasons. Soup just put it so perfect and nailed it in terms of the way this scene plays out, but also what it means on a higher level. And all that is the reason why it's revered.
And shout out for Wyatt, who at the end of the day, like, gets to hook up with his dream girl. And she's like, oh, no, don't worry. My parents are rich. We can do the whole room service thing.
Pretty awesome.
Good life if you can get it, I think.
He deserves it.
I'd say
And we'd like to try to live that good life as well as we could. So sometimes we create dreams. Dreams can come true, and we try to make them come true with our dream team. Usually, this involves somehow taking the featured review we're doing and crossing it over with some various other things. Like, for instance, what if you had to put Val Kilmer's portrayal of Doc Holliday into another movie? What if in Bill and Ted, they have an excellent adventure? Usually they bring back Billy the Kid. What if instead they brought back Doc Holliday?
that I'm 100%
I would be there
right
for that
there.
100%. Yeah, that would be very cool. And they could have honestly, they could have did a lot with that too, just like they did with Billy the Kid, which is also worthy. I mean, he'll make you famous and all, but this would have been very cool to do with Doc Holliday.
How would Doc Holliday size up to something in either now or even like 1980s? You take that exact character, put him there doing his exact same thing. Would that work? I think there'd be a way to make it work, but
He'd have to be super genius quick shot, but
all right, let's say fucking Doc Holliday comes into Lethal Weapon 4 or 3. Let's say Doc Holliday shows up and he magically transports somehow and it's Doc Holliday and all of a sudden they have him in a Lethal Weapon or something like that.
he'd be
That's
comparable to Riggs, I feel, like a power level.
But it would have to be like, I mean, obviously the story would have to be ridiculous to make that happen.
Oh
But
yeah, of course.
I'm just trying to say, like, if we were to like, implant this character into something like that, how would that translate to modern time or even, this, 50-year modern gap from now to like before?
Well, I mean, I guess you could go back. Like, what if Doc was
I
like
could
just
see
a
it. I
huge
could see
poker
a Bill and
player,
Ted.
and there was like Entourage, but it was like Doc Holliday's Entourage, so it was like Entourage set in the
Okay.
1880s.
Maybe something, dude. Maybe like an Ocean's 11, and put Doc Holliday.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that might be
you're
the
cooking.
ticket, dude. All right.
Where they get all these dudes and they do a fucking thing or whatever. I think that would be fun. Another thing that might be fun. What if you could recast the Earp brothers here? There are obviously Jamie G. What do you have for us, man? If you were going to drop kind of Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday into a flick, a television show, into something, maybe a fish show. Actually, not a fish show that'll take too long, but anything else. What do you got for us?
Yeah, we could put him in a lot of places, but right off the top of the bat, putting Doc Holliday in Justified just seems so right. Teaming him up with Boyd Crowder, it's the duo that always seems to best Raylan Givens. But then what if somehow Raylan gets Doc to see Boyd is gonna end up not being the friend he is? It would be the unthinkable, gets him to go against Boyd. I don't know what they do with it, but I just know combining those characters would be perfect. And then the other one that jumps out to me, guys, is putting Doc Holliday in Rounders. We all know that Polka is an honest trade. How great would it be to put him in Rounders here, teamed up? Dude, how good could he and the Bull be here running game, running tricks, dude? Like, this could be a lot of fun with him in Rounders.
I could totally see that, man. I think that might be, yeah, that might be more the angle to play if we're trying to bring the Doc Holliday, Val Kilmer Doc Holliday character or any Doc Holliday portrayal into like, different movies, especially something that is not old West. trying to do something
Yeah, that's
like.
the hard part, right? Yeah, translating the old west into the modern times. I think that's you did a pretty good job with that. What if we were going to recast the Earp brothers? Obviously, everyone does a good job here, but if we're going to be kind of serious with it, I would say maybe you could make Wyatt into Walton Goggins, because we have to, I think, legally involve Walton Goggins.
I can stop the team now, dude.
Oh, all right, all right. So we got Wyatt is Walton Goggins, Virgil is Jeff Bridges, then Morgan, Bob Odenkirk. Maybe a little old, but just like to get a serious guy in there who could do the comedic thing a little bit. And if I was going to have maybe just a little bit of fun with it, how about just a recasting of the three amigos as the Earp brothers? Wyatt's Chevy Chase, Virgil Steve Martin, Morgan's Martin Short. I think that could be fun. Would anybody like to take the opportunity to recast the Earp brothers?
Oh yeah, man. I got a couple of recastings right here in front of me, man. I was thinking about this, dude, because like I think this would be fun, man. Like let's start out with fun. Let's go ahead and start out with fun. I'm gonna go right to fun on an off the wall level, man. I'm going straight cartoon. I'm going like, what if we recast these guys in South Park with South Park characters, man? Well, what I think is Wyatt would be Kyle. Doc would be Kenny, and I think Kenny's a good Doc. And then Ringo would be Cartman, and Curly Bill would be Stan. That's as far as I got with South Park characters. I'm sure we could interchange a bunch and add a bunch. Like where would Butters be? There's probably a whole bunch we could add to that. That was just a quick start. But on a serious level, I really think that if we did Bruce Willis as Wyatt Earp would be pretty cool. Um, or Bruce Willis or Keanu Reeves. I think Keanu Reeves could do it too, man, as Wyatt. But going into Doc Holliday, I think a prime like Lethal Weapon era Mel Gibson could do it, or Johnny Depp could definitely do it. That would be a good Doc Holliday, but nobody will do it ever. Even if anybody ever tries again, nobody will ever do it as good as Val Kilmer did. Um, Anyway, on a serious level, a Ringo, Carl Urban would be a good Ringo. I think Carl Urban would be a great Johnny Ringo, man. And I think Mickey Rourke would be a good Curly Bill, man.
That's awesome.
That's a serious jam. You want to have a little more fun with this thing, dude? Let's take straight comedy. Let's go on like a sketch comedy level here, man. Let's take Wyatt Earp. Let's put him. Let's put Bill Burr in there as Wyatt Earp. I think Bill Burr would be great as a Wyatt Earp, man, on a comedy aspect. You're not serious now. Now you're just playing the role and making fun with it. Let's take Jim Carrey and put him as Doc Holliday. Let's take Mike Myers and put him as Johnny Ringo, man. And then, like, dude, we have to throw in Andrew Dice Clay, so he's going to have to be Curly Bill, dude. Again, we can go on and on with side characters, like who would be Ike? I don't know, maybe Pauly Shore, dude. But then let's go all the way. Let's go all the way up to fucking Nova Scotia here, real quick. Last one before I know I'm rambling here, but anyway. Trailer Park Boys. We're going to Nova Scotia. Trailer Park Boys are now in Tombstone. Let's say who's going to be Wyatt Earp, and obviously it's got to be Julian, dude. Julian's going to be Wyatt Earp. You want to go with Doc Holliday, man? I'm pretty sure that's going to have to be Ricky. I think that would be fucking clutch. And then you go into Virgil. We were going straight Earp brothers here, okay? Virgil is going to be Bubbles, man. And then Morgan's going to be Randy, right? All right, so now you got Curly Bill. Curly Bill, Sam Lasco, the caveman himself, man. And then we're going to end this whole thing out with who's going to play Johnny Ringo. Who's going to be Ringo, dude? It's got to be Leahy, man.
Yeah.
That's the Trailer Park version. That's the Trailer Park version of.
I love it, dude. That's a ton of fun. Mills, before we get over to you, I'm going to bounce it out with a little serious talk here, man. I'm going with just the main three guys. Imagine Wyatt as our guy, Ray Wise, dude.
Nice.
Imagine Wyatt as Ray Wise. Virgil here as Timothy Oliphant, that serious look, that like intense demeanor of like wisdom and toughness, dude. As Virgil here, I think it's lights out. And then Morgan, we get Steve Guttenberg. Steve Guttenberg,
yeah,
innocent Morgan here would be absolutely fantastic. Think about this redone as Ray Wise, Timothy Oliphant and Steve Guttenberg. That would just be legendary.
Dude,
And to
I
have a
love that
little
lineup.
fun. It's a great, great lineup. To have a little fun here, and then I'll kick it to Mills, and then we'll move on. We're just having fun here, but a little fun for me. My Wyatt, John Cena. He's been awesome in everything he's done. Really looking forward to Peacemaker season 2. Him as
Right.
Wyatt here, I think he could do it. It would be very cool. Virgil, Seth Rogen, give him the full like Jewish beard and everything. Like have him be like the serious Virgil here, but it would still be funny because he's got that voice raspy because he smokes a bunch of joints and everything. Like really cool with Seth Rogen here, and then Morgan, Jonah Hill. I just think that again, the innocence and the cuteness, but also the coolness, they would be really cool. So John Cena is Wyatt, Seth Rogen is
Love that,
Virgil,
dude.
and Jonah Hill is Morgan.
Dude, I think Ryan Reynolds would plug in as a good Doc Holliday here.
He would. Right? He absolutely.
That lineup, you know.
Mills, what about you?
If I had to just throw one fun one out there, as Wyatt, like we talked about him maybe getting another job. We're doing The Princess Bride. Carrie Elwes as Wyatt Earp. That could be fun. If you're going to do a little comedic thing, maybe you can have some serious chops. You know, and if you're going to really go for it, how about Rick Moranis as Virgil? You expect him to be big, but maybe he's just, old. And then as Morgan, Danny McBride, I think that could be a lot of fun here. Him kind of portraying that energy that Bill Paxton brought to the role.
And welcome, we made it. This is the award tour. First up, we do need to honor Elaine Bennis, the creator of the second greatest system of all time. I mean...
So you think you're sponge-worthy?
Yes, I think I'm sponge-worthy. I think I'm very sponge-worthy.
You know you're nuts with these sponges.
Run down your case for me again.
She said I wasn't sponge-worthy. Wouldn't waste a sponge on me.
We pay homage to Elaine by determining if our featured review is in fact sponge-worthy. Mills, update us on the sponge supply and tell us if you think Tombstone is sponge-worthy.
Well, unlike the current markets, the sponge supply seems fairly robust at the moment. I currently have 6.5 sponges. Jamie G, you have 6 sponges, and the soup has 2 sponges.
A lot for soup.
Yeah, everyone's got sponges. We're very happy. It's a self-sustaining economy, hopefully. We're trying to keep it going. I am going to declare that this is sponge-worthy. I did not have to really think about it very much. Pretty much an instant sponge. Jamie G, how about yourself?
It's an absolute slam dunk sponge. There's no way this thing isn't worthy of a sponge. It's probably worthy than more, but the most we can give is a sponge. So yes, I'm giving it the full sponge. Soup?
Dude, there is absolutely no question that for me personally, Tombstone is a full sponge. You know, I mean, I would double sponge this thing if I could, beginning to have 2 sponges. But
they tell you in health class not to do the double sponge thing, so don't do it.
You see, exactly. So the one's enough, but dude, sponge worthy for sure. I mean, hands down, no questions, dude. I mean, it's a daisy if you do.
Daisy if you do.
It really is. And you know what? Time to bust out Spaceballs the Wallet on sale for $19.99 because it's time to give Tombstone a grade. Hail Scroob, we grade everything we watch on a scale of 0 to 100 space bucks. Soup, how many space bucks can you spare for Tombstone?
You know, I would almost blow my whole wad on this thing if not for actually, yeah, you know what? I've never done it before. Tombstone's worth it. I'm gonna give it $100. Space bucks. Never. Has anybody ever given
hundo?
Dude, why not? You know, somebody's
Full
bound
hundo.
bound to blow their whole fucking wad. If there's a time to do it, this is a movie worth it. At least to me, anyway. From what it's been to me over the years, and when I first watched it, and the way it's kind of come into my life here and there, and even affected my life in certain ways. So yes, it's an important movie to me. It's worth the full hundo, man.
I am not mad at you, Soup. You gave it the full Monty here, the full hundo. I am not going to do the full hundo, but I am definitely got a 9 in front of mine. I'm giving this a solid 96. It is fantastic. I love it. 96 space bucks. it's hard to it's hard to poke a hole in this one, man. It's
It is,
awesome.
dude. This movie's like a staple, you know. I mean,
It's so good.
Well, goddamn, now I feel bad. I gave it 95 space bucks, and I feel bad. But that's
you cheap fucking
way up
bastard.
there. I am pretty you just went over the top, man. You can't match the hundo I can't go
Hey,
full
man,
hundo
I
on
know
that.
I highball a lot, but I know this is the first time anybody's given a hundo, and I think
It is the first
this,
hundo, dude.
dude. If a hundo comes out, and if it only ever comes out once, this is a movie to give it to. So
I'm okay with it. I think Jamie G is as well. I think it's a worthy hundo. If you're going to come out on one, give him our youth, and yeah, Tombstone's great. I'm giving it 95. That's a lot of space bucks, man. That
That's a
can buy
lot,
you a lot of
yeah.
space bucks, tolls, gas, and food.
And probably the special and the soup. I don't know which one you'd rather get, but
Definitely the soup.
We are, as you can tell, we are very high on the movie Tombstone. We love it a lot. Final order of business is to figure out what we are going to watch next time. To start off, we're going to spin the wheel in the sky to determine the nomination category for our next thing here on Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Mills, go ahead, press the button, and send us on our way.
Let's see what we get.
Oh, dude, it's Christian Slater. What?
We have a wild card. It is the Christian Slater wild card, so it could be anything Christian Slater, I guess wrote, directed, appeared in. There you go. It's a Slater wild card.
We're ready to get down to business. We each got one nomination and one vote. Every vote counts. You cannot vote for your own nominee. Very important rule. If there's a tie, we got a tiebreaker. We kick it back to the wheel and we let fate decide for us. Oftentimes, it's the best route. The nomination order is Magna Mills up first, Soup Deucer second, and then finally, me. Yeah, you could say we're saving the best for last. I mean, come on. Mills, hit us with your nominee.
So we have to pitch a Slater joint, and you know what? I can't help it. Maybe it was a little bit of a comeback. Don't call it that, but I am going to pitch the pilot episode of Mr. Robot. I know, Jamie G, you've already seen it. Soup, you have not, but this is one of my more favorite Slater things, and it's fucking awesome. And yeah, you put the gun to my head. That's what I'm going to pitch. If you want to do something with Slater in it, I want to do Mr. Robot. Soup, what do you got, man? Slater's in it. You haven't pitched it yet. What do you got?
Dude, I'll tell you what, man. Christian Slater was my absolute favorite actor when I was young for a lot of years. Some of the roles he played in the early '90s and that era really stood out for me. So this is a weird subject for me because I don't know if I want to really dive into some of these super important movies in my life, which a couple of them definitely involve him. So I'm going to stay away from some of those, but there's also a lot of other good ones. So I think what I'm going to do is meet in the middle here. I'm going to meet in the middle and I'm going to go early and I'm going to stick with Gleaming the Cube. Gleaming the Cube is definitely a good movie, man. I mean, it's early on. It's not exactly what we would see modern day, but this is a skater movie, man. You see a lot of skating. He actually learned how to skate to be able to skate in this movie. And the story's definitely good, man. I mean, it's a little bit cheesy here and there, but this is definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. If you like a movie from the 80s, this is definitely a young Christian Slater to check out. Just something that kind of launched his career, so to speak. Maybe this and like The Legend of Billie Jean. I almost went there, but I didn't because he wasn't the main guy. But this, Gleaming the Cube, go gleam the cube, man. Figure out how to gleam the cube, dude.
Soup, not only is it a cool movie, it's got probably the coolest.
And it's got Tony Hawk in it, dude, and a bunch of other pros. Yeah, man. I mean,
it's got the coolest underground hangout ever. It's pretty epic and awesome. So I'm definitely feeling on the Gleaming the Cube. You guys know I've tried to pitch Heathers multiple times, unfortunately without success. Staying away from that. There's so much here. Broken Arrow's great. Very Bad Things. There's so much incredible stuff here, but I am going to go with Mobsters. I talked about earlier, haven't gotten around to watch The Irishman. We're going to go when it was all created here, dude. We're going to go with Mobsters, 1991 epic film here. Really lays out how the commission was formed with the original 5 families, and you start to see kind of the Jewish influence inside the Italian mafia, which is really cool. Love this one with Meyer Lansky and everything. This is such a great one. You get the classic characters like Lucky Luciano, Frank Costello, Bugsy Malone, and let's face it, dude, Christian Slater is the definition of cool. He does this very well. Love Mobsters. It's a good one. I think we should talk about it.
That concludes the nominees. I nominated the pilot episode of Mr. Robot from USA featuring Christian Slater. Soup nominated Gleaming the Cube, and Jamie G nominated Mobsters from 1991. We vote in the reverse of the order in which we nominated, so that means Jamie G is up first, followed by the Soup, and then I am potentially the decider with the final vote.
Man, this is such a tough one. The Mr. Robot is the bee's knees. If we do that, then it's just going to be like, oh man, now we got to watch the whole series because it's that good. I'm going to go with Gleaming the Cube. It's been so long since I watched that one. I think it could be fun, just kind of a classic 80s joint. Young Christian Slater, kind of the main for the first time or so. So it's a good one, dude. We'll go with Gleaming the Cube.
Soup, you are up next. Who are you casting your vote for?
All right, so Mr. Robot I have not seen, and I've been wanting to. That's kind of like something I probably should have put into my slipping through the cracks, but it slipped through my crack today, and I didn't even think about it, man. It's in there in the thin cracks. Regardless, it's something I wanted to watch. There's a couple other Slater things I've been wanting to watch too that have slipped through the cracks that he's done recently. I guess he plays in a new Willow thing where he's anyway, whatever. This isn't about that, but yeah. So Mr. Robot. This is a tough call for me, okay? Because one, I've seen it a lot, and one I haven't seen. So here's the thing, okay? I got to decide between the two. Now we're talking about Mobsters here, okay? Mobsters has a stacked cast, okay? You got Patrick Dempsey, Loverboy himself with the extra anchovies whipping it out. You got Richard Grieco in this motherfucker. I mean, it's. But I think this movie, and from what I remember, what I heard, Slater hated this movie. Making this movie, he didn't enjoy this. It wasn't really something he wanted to do. I remember liking this movie a lot back in the younger days, and I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'd be looking forward to seeing it again. However, I'm going to go with Mr. Robot because I have not ever seen it, and I've been wanting to watch it. So I'd rather go with something fresh, and maybe I'll still will watch Mobsters because now it's back in my memory, and I'll put it in there and be like, but I think we'll have more fun talking about something that I know nothing about because I haven't seen it yet. So I'm going with Mr. Robot.
I really appreciate the vote, Soup, but because of the way stuff works, I can't vote for Mr. Robot, and I think I'd much rather do Gleaming the Cube. I mean, it's come up a little bit before, so not one I'm as familiar with, but I remember the vibe of it, enjoying it very much. So I guess I'm going to cast my vote for Gleaming the Cube, which is enough to take it over the threshold here. Could have gone with the Mob Life and thrown it to the wheel, but instead of throwing it to the wheel, I think we're just going to Gleam the Cube.
Dude, I'll tell you what, man. If we're gonna Gleam the Cube and Gleaming the Cube's like coming out, if that's gonna be our next thing, dude, there are a lot of angles we can play with this, man.
This is murder. It was an accident. They killed my brother.
You're not listening to me.
No, you're the one who's not listening.
It was a suicide.
They killed my brother.
No one knows anything except a kid on a skateboard.
Somebody had to shake their tree. You said so yourself.
Oh, yeah. By the rules.
You got your team, I got mine.
Gleaming the Cube.
You don't want to miss 1 second of that movie.
Is it that good?
It's the best goddamn movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
Dude hangs down.
I
don't want to miss that.
Soup, anything to say about Gleaming the Cube before I get us out of here?
Yes, this is a movie I grew up on. Like, I'm glad it won, although I respect both other options, and I would be fine. I probably will watch both of them, but and I would be fine talking about all of them. I mean, yeah, I'm glad my pick won, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because we're still watching a Slater movie, and it's still a win, no matter what it is, man. Looking forward to rewatching Gleaming the Cube, man. It's been a while, but it's kind of a cool aspect for us because we haven't really done a skate movie, like something like a younger skater kid movie with a meaning behind it. I mean, I think this will be fun for us to kind of dive into, coming off of Tombstone. And I was like, man, we should go straight comedy, but then it was like, oh, a Slater thing, and I'm like, yeah, there's not too much comedy Slater. Like, Slater's got comedy. Anyway, I think Gleaming the Cube is the ticket, man. So we're gonna have fun with this one, and I'm looking forward to it, man. So here we go.
Here we go, rock and roll. Thank you guys for checking out another episode of Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We're just regular dudes watching stuff, and we look forward to talking about it with you right here on the channel. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. Throw the thumb, like, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We really appreciate that. Helps us out a lot. And Mills will let you know where you can get at us on our social media. Make sure you follow us over there. Drop a comment. Are you a big Slater guy? Are you excited about what we're doing here? You want to have a little fun with Christian Slater? Our next episode will probably
Slater
be
the man.
you. Give us your thoughts on Gleaming the Cube. Mills will let you know where you can find all of our stuff.
Gleam that tightly right to Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Thank you very much for gleaming that cube, closing that gap, seizing it with Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com. We try to keep it very simple, very easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Very crucial to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure that you click that thumb. I'm Magna Mills. He's Jamie G. That's the Soup Deucer. We've been doing a whole bunch of things, but they're all very regular, and we'll be back to do them next week because, we're regular.
Thanks again for checking out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. I am Jamie G with the crew. We're just dudes being dudes, talking about the dude.
Us dudes abide.
Yes. Daddy time. Why?
Sober up. Come on, boys. Wretched slugs. Don't any of you have the guts to play for blood?
I'm your huckleberry. That's just my game.